हेलो फ्रेंड्स, वेलकम बैक टू माय चैनल। सबसे पहले मेरी तरफ से आप सभी को आज की डेट पे हैप्पी होली। तो आज जिस टॉपिक पे मैं वीडियो बना रही हूँ वो MHI 01 के लिए है, जो पोस्ट ग्रेजुएट स्टूडेंट है हिस्ट्री के, उनके लिए है। यूनिट 7 है लैटिन अमेरिका। तो इसमें जो क्वेश्चन बार बार जो रिपीट हुआ है प्रीवियस ईयर के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से देखेंगे तो वो हुआ है राइट अ ब्रीफ नोट ऑन द पॉलिसी एंड सोसाइटी ऑफ मायन सिविलाइजेशन, वाई एंड हाउ डिड इट कोलैप्स। तो मैंने यहाँ पे जो है इसका पॉलिटी एंड सोसाइटी को डिस्क्राइब किया है और साथ ही साथ मायन सिविलाइजेशन का कोलैप्स क्यों हुआ था ये भी मैंने यहाँ पे लिखा है। ठीक है, तो सबसे पहले जो मैंने नोट्स बनाए हैं वो है पॉलिटी और सोसाइटी पे, उस पे हम देखते हैं। Ceremonial platforms were commonly limestone platform of typically less than 4 meters in height, where public ceremonies and religious rites were performed. Palaces were large and often highly decorated and usually sat close to the center of a city and housed the population elite. Large royal palace consisted of many small chambers and typically at least one interior courtyard. These structures appeared to take into account the needed functionality required of a residence as well as the decoration required in accordance with the stature of their inhabitant. A typical classic Maya polity was a small hierarchical state. The kingdoms of the Maya period were usually no more than a capital city with its neighborhood and several lesser towns, although there were greater kingdoms which controlled larger territories and extended patronage over smaller polities. Each kingdom had a name that did not necessarily correspond to any locality within its territory. Its identity was that of a political unit associated with a particular ruling dynasty. The Maya city-state was headed by Halak or the real man. The post was hereditary and primogeniture, or the eldest son having exclusive right of inheritance. It is evident that Halak was not an elective or selective post and can be compared to a tribal chief or a king. Halak is also referred to as religious authority in the sense that he had a leading role in major public ritual. In the classic period, the rituals of kingship became the more elaborate rituals. The administration of city-states was headed by Ao, also known as Batabob, who were often a near relative of Halak A Batabob was head of this area, but local town council could reject his decision. The council was composed of chiefs of various areas of the town, and its members were known as Akkuch Kobab. The Batabovs used to settle dispute. He ensured social order in his area, and he was assisted by many officials. Thus, Halak was also a king, and Batabob were like provincial governor. But in times of war, actual command was exercised by the captain of the army called Nakam. The Maya used to engage in wars and capture slaves who were employed for various tasks. One of them was sacrificed to propitiate the gods. While land was communally owned, common people were given plots to cultivate by Batabobs and his official. Despite being a high rainfall area, availability of water was scarce, bearing the land situated near the rivers or stream. Hence, rain god Chak as well as Yum Kaks, the corn god associated with good harvest, were widely worshipped. Being an agriculturally intensive society, every activity related to agriculture was done with rituals as and when directed by the priest. The upper echelon of the priesthood was a repository of learning, also in the field of history and genealogical knowledge. The most general word for priest was a kin. The high priest used to teach how to compute years, months, days for festival and ritual. But the teaching was restricted to the nobles and the priest's son. Common people were not entitled for learning. The people of the Maya believed in a cyclic nature of time. The rituals and ceremonies were very closely associated with celestial and tertial cycle, which they observed and inscribed as separate calendar. The Maya priest had the job of interpreting the cycle and giving a prophetic outlook on the future or past based on the number linked to their calendar. They also had to determine if the heavens were propitious for performing certain religious ceremony. To a great extent, Maya religious traditions were based on their belief that the cosmos had three major planes: the earth, the underworld beneath, and the heaven above. The night sky was considered a window showing all supernatural doing. The Maya configured constellation of gods and places saw the unfolding of narratives in their seasonal movement and believed that the intersection of all possible world was in the night sky. The Maya believed in many gods that were related with each other in numerous ways. There was a massive array of supernatural characters in the Maya religious tradition, only some of which recur with regularity. Good and evil traits were not permanent characteristics of the Maya god because of their belief that based on cycle, what seems inappropriate during one season might come to pass in another. Knowing the past meant knowing the cyclical influence that create the present, and by knowing the influences of the present, one can see the cyclical influences of the future. Among the many types of the Maya calendar which were maintained, the most secret one had 260-day cycle, while another one had 365-day cycle, which approximated the solar year. The third calendar was based on mythical beginning of the Maya era in 3111 BC. The centers of the Maya culture were basically agriculturalists and majority of the people were peasant. Droughts were common and peasants used to store food grain for rainy days. Weaving was also one of the main occupation of the people and both men and women were engaged in this to make basket ropes and made etc. Exchange of goods and trade with other people was a regular activity. They also participated in long distance trade with many of the other Central American culture and had sea trade links with distant islands of the Caribbean Sea. Important trade goods included salt, seashell, jade and obsidian. अब जो नेक्स्ट टॉपिक है जो मैंने डिस्क्राइब किया है इस क्वेश्चन के अकॉर्डिंग वो है why and how did the Maya civilization collapse? It is a moot point that how the Maya civilization collapsed or decayed. Archaeological evidence, the studies of the cemeteries of the late classic period have revealed stunted growth, scurvy, anemia, and periodontal disease, which indicate undernourishment and sequentially famine. To prevail over adverse conditions and food shortages, the people might have stepped up the use of the natural resources, which in the end caused fall in the fertility of the soil and aggravated the crisis. This led to agricultural collapse and environmental calamity. As a matter of fact, the Mayan construction of buildings seems to have stopped after 9th century AD. The exact reason of the end is unknown. It might have been either an epidemic like malaria or yellow fever, or some natural calamity like a prolonged drought or earthquake, or an invasion, most probably by the Mexican. तो स्टूडेंट्स ये था मेरा वीडियो और अगर आपको ये नोट्स सफिशिएंट लग रहे हो मतलब सही लग रहे हैं तो आप मेरे चैनल को लाइक कीजिए, शेयर कीजिए, सब्सक्राइब कीजिए, बेल आइकन को दबाइए ताकि जब भी मैं कोई लेटेस्ट वीडियो डालूं उसकी नोटिफिकेशन आप लोगों तक पहुंच जाए। किसी भी स्टूडेंट्स को अगर इस चैप्टर से रिलेटेड नोट्स चाहिए हो, सॉल्व असाइनमेंट्स चाहिए हो या प्रीवियस ईयर सॉल्व क्वेश्चन पेपर चाहिए हो तो मेरे व्हाट्सएप नंबर पे नीचे कांटेक्ट कर सकते हैं। नीचे डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स में आप लोगों को व्हाट्सएप नंबर मिल जाएगा। आज के लिए बस इतना ही। नेक्स्ट वीडियो तक बाय।